to the Tuesday edition of Two Talk Morning Show on Two Talk Radio 98.5 FM. We will bring the program this morning now Ishmael Saidu Kanu. But today we have to talk about how corruption affects the economy and as well as development in the country. And as well yesterday the Anti-Corruption Commission celebrates International Anti-Corruption Day, waiting a meaning for the country and how far they don't go for fight corruption as alone. And I'll make a get with me in the studio, somebody from the ACC where they can discuss this. Stay with me for the next 1 hour as we can discuss this and other issues them around corruption. We'll come back after this break. Welcome back to Two Talk Morning Show on Two Talk Radio 98.5 FM. Here we bring the program this morning. Na Ishmael Saidu Kanu and the studio, the public relations assistant. Na the ACC where na Alex Eba is with me. Where they can talk about waiting don't happen. Na the ACC, especially yesterday when they celebrate International Anti-Corruption Day. Good morning, Alex. Welcome to Two Talk Morning Show.
Yes, good morning, Ishmael. Good morning, listeners. It's a pleasure being here this morning.
Let me begin to talk about the celebration yesterday. How you been, Talek?
Yes, yesterday was the International Anti-Corruption Day, and we, as of course, a party, a signatory to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And that convention day, we don't set aside the 9th of December each year for all countries or nations across the world in a party program, then commemorate the day for as an opportunity, first off, for resound the importance of, for less state and non-state actors them and the general citizens, then support the fight against corruption. Because corruption now one of the biggest and interfaith worship. We invite religious leaders, pastors and imams from of course Muslim and Christian religion, Islam and Christianity, and then we can offer prayers. Then we can offer not just prayers but even sermons, teachings on waiting the religion then say about corruption, because we all know this 99% religious country, and the two books them they all repudiate corruption. They all agree the corruption is terrible. But as religious as we are, why we still the grapple, why we still the battle with corruption, we don't become over time so endemic in our society. So they all come. We get Reverend Lordship Bishop Laga we become, and of course we get the chief imam na parliament and different other religious clerics them. So yesterday was the climax of the commemoration this year, where we be converged in Miata conference hall, and of course we events where we also mark the symbolic launch of we next generation, we are the fifth generation, the current generation I would say now, of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. So it was a 2-in-1 event to commemorate the day, with line of activities and what we do, but also we launched the next 5 years plan day where they inform how we get for fight corruption.
Alright, so now be a big event. You see when I don't start from last week, and yesterday I know say una be get keynote speaker. How even Talek for him, and it now be the key points then for me statement.
Yes, the of course person way before deliver the keynote address, and of course for also launch the strategy was the Excellency the President, but we get equally other important assignments then. So we get the chairman of the advisory board of the Anti-Corruption Commission, we now Prince Goba, Mr. Prince Goba Esquire, we can step in instead, but for ensure say launch the strategy, because then in the climax, now then they culminate the entire commemoration this year. we now a national anti-corruption strategy, like Ipulado the strategy. Strategy way, like I earlier mentioned, get for define how we get for fight corruption for the next 5 years. So now then they be climax and I mean he of course commend the ACC, especially the commissioner. We don't provide, a very stout-hearted, a very visionary leadership in the fight against corruption, and all which we don't achieve so far, in spite of the challenges and we don't grapple with. But of course, they also commend His Excellency the President. We don't provide with the amplitude, because why even other countries, they most times can admire how much unprecedented gains we don't make as a country in fight against corruption. It's because they understand, say, having that kind of political will, that presidential will, that's something very difficult, and we don't enjoy so much of. And so, of course, commend, His Excellency the President and generally staff of the commission. But he charged we for, of course, use the strategy where they define what we get for do for do more. We lean on the gains that we'd already make, and yearn for do much more in the interest of this country.
What about the commissioner? I believe say himself been there and make a statement yesterday. Which statement be predicate on yesterday?
Yes, the commissioner, he, of course, say quite, a lot of important things, not the engagement, most of which border around waiting, informed or waiting the strategy contain. Part of waiting the strategy talk about is the importance of even collaboration, more collaboration with the judiciary, for let we forge a better relationship with the judiciary. And a huge part of his statement we predicate on that of course the courts then get huge role for play in promoting and supporting the fight against corruption. So we emphasize that, because when we do we work as a commission, we rely on waiting then they do as well when we send matters in a court. We don't get huge support where we don't receive from the judiciary over the years, but of course we don't get so many challenges then, so many constraints then with, of course, them as well. We get a number of cases then we in the courts, as we speak, we get 30 something or so cases there. We then in our courts we get about 11 or so. We for some time now, not just for let them hand down judgments on them matters, and they, even though in 2019 we don't create a special division of the High Court, when anti-corruption court dedicated only for preside and expedite we matters that we send, but we still grapple with challenges. So predicating speech for urge, in India, thankfully the Chief Justice, His Lordship Babatunde Edwards, His Lordship Nicholas Brown-Mark, yes, be the acting Chief Justice, be Dede, and he also be grace the occasion. So he be predicating speech on that, but beyond that as well, he reckon and resound the importance for we all put hands together for support the fight against corruption, because it is very important. We don't do so much and so well as a country. We don't come up from failing positions, and we are one of the blueprints there now across Africa and the greater globe for fight corruption and all the gains that we don't make. But it sound the importance for let we know sit down and we not consolidate the many gains there. And beyond that, he also emphasized going forward, as much as we don't set the tone, we don't set the pace, we don't define all which we don't do over the years. Now we're using technology, because much of the strategy as well gets for do it using technology in combating corruption. So we emphasize that in the next 5 years we get for absorb technology in ensuring that we utilize and we maximize them, so we're able to address and combat issues of corruption.
All right, let's talk now generally about on a fight against corruption as alone. Of course, government don't can, government don't go, government don't can, government don't go, but the ACC still there and for continuing work. What thing you want for saying at the state of corruption as alone right now?
Yes, I think we commendably so don't do so much and so well that even we staunchest of critics, then of course don't see and then go agree say we don't do so well. That is not to say we don't succeed for eradicate corruption. I mean, we still live far from that. But waiting we don't do so far don't show say like how we can always say that better is indeed possible in fighting corruption. Remember say when the president be making inaugural address sometime in 2018, waiting he talk now that he wage three democratic wars, and one of which now on corruption, and we will see he manifest that by making then a novel appointment as a very young person, youth, then age 33, for can lead in national effort for fighting against corruption. And when Francis Benkei Fala come, he already gets a vision. He already don't understand, as somebody will not be a social change advocate, will be very vocal in talking about issues that way they affect we. He already don't get this vision how we want for take Sierra Leone from the miserable position, the embarrassing positions. Then remember saying 2013 or so we were ranked as the worst corrupt country in the world. And many other assessments there as well be the corroborate that we were performing so terribly and so badly. So what he can and can do, first off, he decides say we need to get strong laws, because if you want fight corruption, then the legal the legislative framework for they before permit we able for fight corruption. So we go parliament, we make significant amendment, and part of the amendments and they will make to the Anti-Corruption Act was for increase some of the fines them generally of offenses them. We increase other penalties and like the jail terms them. We increase them to 5 years. We make restitution mandatory, because before this time when, for example, somebody thief for 100 million leones, if them find you guilty, there was mega fine provided for by law, and restitution not be mandatory. That is to say that 100 million leones we thief, it not be mandatory. Say if they find you guilty, they not levy a fine you for pay that money there. So it was like a profitable enterprise. So we changed down the part of the law. We make restitution become very mandatory, that if you thief 100 million leones, in addition to all the fines then way you they pay if they find you guilty, you they pay that money they back in full, compulsory, non-negotiable, mandatory. And because waiting be informed that in fact when they appoint in one of him made an address, he make and clear say they make corruption a high risk and a very very low return venture, something we not fashionable. And it be manifest that in the reforms, and they will also be provide or be incorporate section 89 as per the amendments of 2019, we give you the power for do the non-conviction recovery model, because the United Nations and convention they articulate say countries them for absorb non-conviction model, because the most difficult thing fighting corruption world over now for recover assets. Waiting person don't thief for able forget them back from that person there, it's extremely difficult. So then advise countries then for absorb that non-conviction model. And similarly, so now the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, they also did, and the ECOWAS protocol. So we absorb them and we fed as provided for waiting we be doing a parliament, pursuant to section 89 as amended. And we don't use that strategy they so well, and it don't help with so much in recovering huge funds, not just the recent about 34 billion we don't able get from somebody with from one of them banks there also, and the other recoveries and we don't make, we sum up to quite staggering amount of over 60 to 70 or more billions we will recover in just the past 6 years. That then they provide we that amplitude there, and we make a lot of other reforms. Then we asset declaration regime, we toughen them. Before this time, asset declaration will be efficient or be effective. Public officers then be the fail for declare their assets, and there were no sanctions them, so it was just there as a law. But we make them so effective, and now with the record maximum compliance rate. As I tell you, Ishmael, when we can get we asset declaration, periods them, public officers them especially like when they can non default because they not be used to them things there. When they can run kind of office where we can provide support to them in declaring their assets. Some of them then you say, I know you ever no say this thing a day. Me not ever declare say I don't work for how many years? I don't work for 20 or more years. And this law has always been there, but it was not effective. So we make it effective because we put sanctions there. When you not declare after the period, the statutory period when March 31st, of course, the first limb of the sanction will be the effector. You know, we they send the names, they will be they send letters them, you know, warning letters them, where then human resource be the give them, so then be the afraid. And we be also effect the next limb of sanction where we seize some man and salary with default. And when you seize your salary, in fact, a forfeit to the forfeiter. If we they return them back now the consolidated revenue fund. So all of them things don't show say indeed like our state we not able for combat corruption entirely yet, but we don't show say indeed we can be able for address this menace with the right leadership and the right legal and regulatory frameworks them. Now interestingly and waiting very important is that impunity will be there before not there again.
Okay.
And all of we can accept to that. Before this time, if somebody be engaged in corruption self indiscriminately, unbothered or so, now even if they abhor the thoughts for engaging in acts of corruption, they think twice. Because you know say if you are caught, the penalties then very huge. Corruption don't become a high risk, but the return is extremely low.
But people in the criticize when I say when they allow people that don't take money. Now they select in campaign instead of them go to prison. Why not they do that?
Yes, now I make even way start for even explain about this non-conviction model. I make and clear say now something we at the United Nations level then you know articulate in
Now
the
the right
convention.
approach?
Yes, and you know we a state party to then convention then they. And because we are state parties, then can encourage countries then for domesticate them because then don't look, then don't see. Say it's a difficult thing. So now contextualizing this, you know, Ishmael, you see, if we get matters there, I tell you, say we get about 30 something matters, then we clog na court, and we get about 11 matters, then we don't they now only judgments they wait for hand down. If we keep sending matters na court. And they queue na court, and we don't get cases, then we don't get instances. Then I could give you one of the instances. Then we get this NACIT matter, where before we get a judgment that was handed down, the first accused where they be found guilty, where they be convicted, where na be Joseph Sedumans, he already be don't pass away before the conviction became. So what happened in that case? The state lost twice. When you don't pass away, there is of course no way, you know, forget some money again. You know, I mean, you understand, you know, waiting the law provide in that regard. But secondly, as well, the state laws, all waiting we expend in the litigation process. So it's a two-way thing. So now you make if we they for let we able for go get waiting person on thief. You know, the United Nations then emphasize that now we go and go get them. So now make we absorb into we law. So that is not to say we don't send matters na court. We've been sending matters na court. This year we don't record the number of convictions then of the matters they will send na court. And in the last 6 years, we don't get over 90% conviction rate of the matters they will send na court. But in addition to that, we look at certain matters. If we able for do quick win and quick fix of those matters, we go after the person, wait if we go gather the money all from you, we impose fine where the law provide 30% or even more depending on the substance of the matter, and we ban you from holding public office because again the law provide with the ban you not less than 5 years or so where will they ban you from holding public office. So with the ban you and with the publish your name as well, and all of the instances in there I should say you they follow, we then publish the names that way they make them very clear. So waiting down they do. Imagine we say somebody thief like this, one way will be start at the start of this 2024 will be get for the within staff then from SLRA, Accountant General's Department or so, where then be thief that over money up to the cumulative tune of about 8.6 billion. Some of them matters then they, if we send them a court based on experiences, then Ishmael, we don't get experience. They send matters in a court where they adjourn them endlessly, and
So
we get so many
to
constraints.
the judiciary for the speed. Some of them here, so they wanna make sure say we get quick conviction.
No,
Or
now
it depend on the evidence they wanna present, or it depend on the nature of the case.
no. The dynamics, there's so many in criminal litigations. First off, I mean, you understand that the burden of proof is
Yeah,
very
true.
high. Yes, yes. First off, the burden of proof in criminal litigation is very high. So especially in anti-corruption matters, there are times even for say we will get witnesses them for go testify, and if then keep adjourning those cases endlessly, so there are those complex dynamics there, and the state over time waiting we learn from we experience. Remember I say we begin fight corruptions in 2000, and we were failing terribly in every assessment. 2017 we were 49% in the MCC. So now because we don't understand we context, will be they send matters in a court, and then they endlessly. Some of them for they will get judgments. Some of them when they get judgments we not there in favor. We keep appealing to those judgments. So those are complex things. So of course the judiciary, they've been providing support, but we still grapple with challenges. So for navigating challenges in there, and I would say fighting corruption, the success it hinge squarely on waiting the anti-graft institution able do for himself, not to wait another institution they able do. We of course not the judiciary an independent body. What you get for do and for send matters in a court, and sending matters in a court now prosecute when they prosecute, we know they persecute. So at the end, the judge get for hand down in judgment based on the arguments that they don't put forward. So even though we don't do so well, we don't get over 90% conviction rate and all, we still get an alternative there. So if we able to do quick win, quick fix, we do and we publish your name. Like this matter we get for do it. This Abdul Salim Ansari, we of course be succeed for divert monies away for go into NRA account. We get convicted. He be plead guilty 2 weeks ago. He be wrong go Dubai. We get him back. Well, I mean we able for carry it and Sierra Leone. He go na court. He and one of the other accused person then plead guilty. They were convicted. But beyond the conviction as well, we will be able for succeed, forget the money. And beyond that, we publish in him, we publish in pictures, then be there everywhere.
Wait, that boku money be displaying
yes,
that boku display plenty billions.
Yes, we display.
How they do that? We display the money to the general public. We let them know so that affect corruption.
We don't make huge recoveries them, Ishmael. Especially in the last 6 years, and we don't present checks to His Excellency the President. Yes, for sure say we don't make the recoveries there. But you see, there are people that understandably so, where for some reasons they can still question. Say, we they go present 10 billion, 15 billion, we see nothing, lie no more and all. It's understandable. Considering how far we don't come as a country. I mean, we are a society where people don't go through a lot, so it's understandable. So why we they do then symbolic display? First off, for let people then see when we talk about monies, we not get any language in this country, whether we local language or so, where if they start for count, then go able count 1 billion. We not get them local languages then they. And sometimes they go count, then go able count 100, or beyond that. But language where they count 1 billion or they. So when you tell people and say don't recover 1 billion people in thief, they don't understand what 1 billion is. So, and the fight against corruption are in the interest of the people of Sierra Leone, the greater part of the population, where they are still constrained in spite of the efforts the government they make. So we they do then symbolic display and let people then see when we say we don't recover 10, 15, 20 billion leos, let them see and tangibly the volume of money. So then go know the extent where we companies Sierra Leoneans they go for cripple this country. So now a public education message, let people then get this awareness for stimulate their consciousness about how people then can go, how far they can go, for engage in acts of corruption, for divert and siphon huge resources then were meant for all of we in this country. So now that is really the spirit behind the symbolic display then they what they do. And I mean, if we they follow when we do then displays there, including the recent one, we get lots of countries there across the world where in them pages then they, you know, Nigeria, Ghana, where they share them things there, because it's a novelty for, you know, these parts of the world, Africa, for like governments, you know, their anti-corruption bodies then they do such things. It's a novelty. People are not used to those things. In fact, they admire. See, you see what in Salon they do, you see what in the anti-corruption body they do. You see how, in fact, I mean, the commissioner, they don't invite him. He will be going to Nigeria to even speak at one of the engagement and when even we do then display there in the post then, or the social media post then, with some of even the most admired bloggers in the share, then they admire what they do as a country. They admire the leadership we will get and how much resolve they get. For see people and thief them billions there, and we see people always still like this country as much as going after recovering, showing people, and then returning back to the state. It's a good thing.
Yeah, but the problem people when they get to the is now that some people and they want to feel guilty, but when they come back to the public and tell them, say, this person not feel guilty, but when I feel guilty, when I get conviction, when they come to the public.
No, I mean, I would want you to name one person where we not feel guilty when not come to the public.
They don't confide in me. I'm not going to name them.
No, not to the person we confide in you. A certain person, your matter way we investigate, we inform the public, and we not come back and can inform the public like the outcome.
Like if una lost the case, una come to the public.
No, you see, particularly matters that will be charged in a court. You know, you of course, like a legal person, you get that understanding there. When we charge matters in a court, like I state, we they prosecute, we not they persecute.
Yes.
So we'll be convinced that we don't do with bits and pieces, that all go in a court. We have get strong grounds for let the judgment be in we favor. But this is a democracy. It's a court. Yeah, we not we the go micromanage matters then they. So there are matters then way. If the conviction not there in we favor, we they go through the legal processes then for even appeal on them matters then they. And so there are processes then where the court, you know, permits, and they get their own permutations then. But in the matters they will don't send a court, especially in the last 6 years, we were able to forget over 90% conviction rate. Over 90, that is no small amount. And in the over 90%, then they will forget about 40 something or more people or individuals that we don't convict. And all of them one and they keep the public up to speed, they inform the public, because when in fact the international bodies then they assess we the Mo Ibrahim Index, the Transparency International, the MCC, the Afrobarometer report, when they assess we say Salon they do so well, they perform so well, like the Mo Ibrahim Index, then particularly mention Sierra Leone, now the press release. Now all of them grounds they go on our website and look how many convictions they are able to secure. Waiting at the matter they want to send a court. Waiting at the percentage of matter they want to send a court as opposed to the success rate we not able to forget. So we inform the public of all of those ones. When we investigate, when we charge matters in a court, we always keep the public up to speed. We are one of the institutions then that this country where we get the most potent public education mechanism. We keep the public up to speed with whatever we do, because transparency is at the heart, it's at the thrust of the fight against corruption.
Alright, Alex Eba continue for the with me in the PR assistant at ACC. We come to back, we can talk briefly about the anti-corruption strategy and how corruption not affects the economy and development. Don't forget to watch and listen to Two Talk Morning Show on Two Talk Radio 98.5 FM in Ismail Saidu Kano. As I tell you, I get Alex Eba, when a PR assistant from the Anti-Corruption Commission. They'll go for the short break. We'll come, we'll continue with the program. back to Two Talk Morning Show on Two Talk Radio 98.5 FM. It also gets you on our Facebook page on Two Talk FM and also on our YouTube channel, Mina Ishmael Saidu Kanu. And I get with me Alex Eba, when a PR assistant na Anti-Corruption Commission. Alex, how corruption really affects Sierra Leone economy and development?
Yes, of course, corruption, when it infects and it affects all fabrics of society, definitely they impede on, the national development plan. And they succeed, for get monies, then we for be diverted, we for go for address, some of the urgent needs and challenges them to other sectors them, and sometimes the monies then they individual pockets them, then they go. So we as a country, we don't be challenged by this scourge. We don't see, say, His Excellency the President, when he even be taking in first term, he make and clear say he want put primacy on human capital development, for invest in education. And if the president wants for build the educational sector, and we see issues of corruption, for example, we surround the educational sector, some of which get to do with even academic fraud, where most times people are not here understand, say, now one of the greatest form of corruption, because when there is this academic fraud, it deprive the young people them, the young leaders them of tomorrow from being able for push themselves, for learn things, for merit them way through, and at that stage then they begin cultivate then vices that you would have to cheat your way through. And at the end of the day, those ones, if they be ushered into the corporate world, into a national construct, it's the same thing. They would replicate because they get all of them vices, then they imbibe in them at then stage and day. So in essence, then they sharply go against the spirit of the resources where His Excellency and the country expend for developing one there, because we have few people who are very disingenuous, where for their own personal gains them, then they go, of course, engage in acts of corruption. So I make, even when we go parliament in 2019, having that in mind, and because we want support His Excellency the President for succeed in the investment in the human capital development, we carried section 129 of the amendments, we provide that all forms of academic fraud are a criminal offense. Before this time it was not. So we make a criminal offense because we understand, say, education are the bedrock and the lifeblood of development, and we cannot fight against corruption if we not start at that formative stage there. And if corruption don't affect all the educational setting, and the school now a major agent of socialization, then it just get for at the end of the day be transferred or be expressed